right, good evening. I call this meeting of the Board of Park Commissioners to order. Grace, will you please take roll?
Alderperson Channing Kundiger.
Here.
Alderperson Daphne Ledvina and Alderperson Essercon are excused. Randy Soki.
Present.
Jim Kneisel.
Here.
Elizabeth McMasters.
Here.
Olivia Alberson.
Here.
And Connor Mason is excused.
All right, we have quorum. Next on the agenda is public comment on matters not on the agenda. Any matters not on the agenda? Anyone wish to speak on something not on the agenda that pertains to Board of Park Commissioners business? All right, seeing none, we will move on. My electronic agenda is not loading, so I will glance over at this one. Thank you, Grace. Items. Number one, consideration possible action to approve the Board of Park Commissioner minutes from November 20th, 2025 meeting. I'll move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number two, consideration possible action to approve Amerilux as the main sponsor for the 2026 Beer Gardens.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item three, consideration and possible action to approve a donation proposal from Pere Baseball in the amount of $5,000 to purchase robotic mowers to be used at Kelly Danen and Southwest Park baseball fields. I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
Discussion. Jim.
Just one question, Marty. From the description, it said that the mowers run from 11 at night till 9 in the morning? Mm-hmm. Monday
Well-
through Friday?
Well, we can run them whenever we want.
Okay. But is that, I was curious, does that need to go, those robotic things go every day, or is it?
So we would have them operate Monday through Friday for sure. Saturday, Sunday, we're still in limbo if we would have them run or not. We do have staff that are on call and come in during the weekends, but we don't know if it will blend perfectly well or not. But for sure, we would run it Monday through Friday.
Well, that's my question I was unclear about. Does that mean every night this thing runs?
Yep.
Okay, why is that? Just because?
Well, so the robotic mowers are not, they are not built to cut like an inch of grass.
Okay.
So like our larger lawnmowers, if we don't get out there, we can bale hay. We're cutting down to 2.5 inches and the grass is 5 inches long. The robotic mower does not have that ability. So when it cuts the blade of grass, it's really only cutting sometimes 1/4 of an inch.
Okay. Is it not automated too, like a Roomba, where you could do it remotely? Somebody has to go out there every night and get
So
it going?
there is it's just like a Roomba. So we set up a schedule, we set up parameters on the field where it can, where it can't go. And then if we set it at a time that it takes off at 11 p.m. every evening, it takes off every time at 11 p.m., like clockwork. So and then staff also have the interface on their phones. So myself and Brian, our park superintendent, we have the interface on our phone. So if for some reason it would get stuck, well, then we get a message saying, so we call it Robbie, the current one, that says Robbie's stuck and exactly where he's stuck. So we can either reset it. Sometimes it's a satellite issue, or if it's stuck, then we have to have someone go out there. But where it got stuck for us this past summer, a ball field will not have that type of a problem, if that makes sense. It would have to jump sidewalks. It won't have to jump a sidewalk when it's cutting a ball field. So things like that.
And these are commercial use?
Mm-hmm.
So they're sturdy enough to take
Oh, yeah.
that kind of abuse?
Yeah, in actuality, so we were one of the first ones to start. As you know, I like trying things.
Mm-hmm.
Shortly after we did it, West Pere, I believe, has 4 or 5 of them that are operating. So they cut their soccer field as well as their large baseball field and their girls softball. Bayport is in the process of implementing, I believe, 3 or 4 of them. So kind of the wave is coming, and they are used in a commercial setting for sure.
Is this something that's going to be widespread usage in the future, do you think, or is there just a theft component?
I think it has its place.
Okay.
So for ball fields, I think it has a very good place. In order to cut a true park setting, probably not, because the mower needs to have a very clear signal, satellite signal. Well, if it's going under a dense canopy of trees, it'll lose signal.
No.
All right, well, that doesn't work very well. Also, in a true park setting, you have bumps, you have obstacles, you have sidewalks, you have dips and holes and catch basins. So those are problems that this unit is not designed to really go over.
Okay, thanks. I'm just really curious about it. Thank you.
Amy.
Are we planning to put up any signage on the fences or anything like
Yes.
that? Okay, good. Just because, one, they're pretty quiet, and
Yep.
two, it's weird if you're not used to them to see something out there in the middle of the night.
Yes, and there going to have to be some education with social media as well as signage, because when they are out, there'll be these 2 little LED eyes that they'll see all night long. So someone will be wondering what the heck's going on out there. But there'll be an education period that we'll have to inform the people. Oh, one other thing. I know everyone would ask this, well, what happens if someone would pick it up and run away with it? Great question. There's a geofence that is implemented for where it can and cannot go. As soon as it goes out of that geofence, anyone that has the interface, it starts blaring, saying, it's out of the interface or out of the geofence, and here's where it is. So if someone was silly enough to try and steal it, they can go ahead and try. We'll be able to tell the police, go to 343 Oak Street and pick up our lawnmower, please. So it has that luxury.
Further discussion or questions for Marty? All those in favor say aye.
Right?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Item number 4, consideration and possible action to approve the first and second quarter financial statements for the Pere Ice Arena.
Move to approve.
I'll second. Marty, anything of note from your point of view on that?
From the financial, no.
Okay, thanks. All those in favor say aye.
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 I'm going to abstain from that one.
Opposed? Please note Elizabeth's abstention. Thanks. Motion carries.
Okay, with her abstaining,
We'll have to check with Pam on,
we have
whether
to
we
bring
need-
it back.
yeah, it's
May
possible.
not.
Just because we technically wouldn't have quorum
Oh,
if you
I didn't even
abstain.
think about
But we'll check with.
Okay.
But that's not a you problem.
Yeah.
Item number 5, consideration possible action to approve a park name for the new park in the Waterview Heights Subdivision. Marty, do you want to?
As you know, I've enjoyed this topic somewhere along the lines of having a root canal. So we were able to really be able to connect with Historical Society. After much deliberation, McKim sent me the information of which I've sent to you. I don't think anyone is here from the Historical Society, but I know Joe Nix works with them and has offered to offer some insight, I think, in relation to it. If you want to open the meeting.
I'd like to hear it. I'll move to open the meeting.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We're in open session. Joe, I know you didn't know the drill, but I'll say it for anybody out in internet land who's watching. Please state your name and address for the record.
Joe Nix, 227 Bell Avenue. I'd hope that someone from DPR Historical would be here because I think they gave some thought to this and they've come up with a good idea, but they're not here, so I'm going to speak instead. I think it's a very good idea, volunteer park. And partly it pays tribute to our soldiers in the Civil War. Company F, the DPR Rifles, which was just an incredible unit of volunteers. They were in some of the really toughest battles. They were at Corinth and Shiloh and Vicksburg. They had a lot of guys killed. A lot of guys, came back to De Pere wounded. So from a naming standpoint, it's a very worthy thing. The other thing I don't know, but there's, I understand there's over 50,000 books written about the Civil War. And one of the very, very best ones is a Stephen Ambrose book about Company F, called A Wisconsin Boy in Dixie, The Edited Letters of James K. Newton. Is fabulous. You don't have to buy it. You can get it online at archive.org. I'd highly recommend it. Some people might disagree it's one of the best, but they'd be wrong. A couple things that to think about here is that I think that if you go with Volunteer Park in reference to the Civil War, you've really got a nice tie-in with the theme that you already have in the parks. I mean, you have Legion Park, which is associated with World War I, VFW, which is kind of more World War II, and you've got Bicentennial Park, which kind of fits the same theme. So you could develop something around that theme of the parks. I know that Marty, in his memo to you, noted that there might be some confusion about the use of the term volunteer between the volunteers from Company F and volunteers in general. And I actually think it's good the way it has been proposed to be volunteer as opposed to something else. That word typically isn't thought of as a homonym, but in this situation, it would be a very good homonym to mean one thing about honoring the Civil War. And if people get a little confused and think it's to honor volunteers in general in De Pere, I think that's a good thing. That's all I got. Thanks.
Thank you, Joe. I'll move to go back into regular order.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We're back in regular order. Jim?
Regardless of any discussion tonight, I think this is the kind of a decision that should be made by a more full board than what we have here tonight. And I know Shana had a lot to say about it in the past, so I'd prefer we put this off until next month when more people can be here.
Makes sense to me.
Assuming more people will be here.
Partly what reminded me of it is I came upon a old story somebody sent me about Wilson Park. Just the other day, I was on a pile of stuff, and it was a newspaper story from the time when that park was named, and it mentioned that the park board selected the name, and I just think it should be a full vote for something like this.
So do
Are
we
you going to move to table or?
table? Yeah.
Well, I don't know if
That would be the-
tabling is
that
the
would-
appropriate term, or
Well, if you were to table, then it would come back for sure next month in the same form.
Yep, that's what I'll do. I'll move to table it till next month.
Second.
All those in favor of tabling say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. It is tabled till next month. Again, Joe, thank you for your insights. I am sure the four of us will share with the other park board members, unless, of course, you choose to come back next month and share again.
Anything is possible.
Anything is possible. Item number 6, discussion on Wilson Park improvements. Marty, you want to get us rolling?
Yeah, so the reason this is on here, right now, the RFP for technical design and construction oversight, it is out. So it's already out. Because we don't want, I didn't want to delay it, because then all of a sudden, if I delay another month or two, next thing you know, we're not getting bids until July, and then we're possibly waiting until next year to do this. So I wanted to get the ball rolling, but I did include verbiage in the RFP that allows for changes. It actually asks the consultant, hey, before you dive into the actual technical design, you need to go through a process to check with our current conceptual design and with our park board, and is everything still in alignment with when you originally did the conceptual design. So I wanted to get ahead of that and get you thinking about this topic for a couple reasons. And Joe Nix is here, and he sent a pretty good memo that brought up an interesting topic that is worth noting. When we went through the conceptual design of Wilson Park, we integrated St. Norbert pretty heavily into the thought process. There has been a substantial amount of changes at St. Norbert, and I'm not saying that their changes should warrant a change to the conceptual plan, but I think that it warrants a discussion that there's been some significant changes going on there, and it's worth taking a look at if, in fact, that those changes should impact the actual conceptual design. So you did not get bombarded with this when the consultant came to you. I wanted to get it ahead of time and get you thinking about it. So that's what this is for, is to just have a general discussion so you can get ahead of the question and the potential concern. And I know Mr. Nix is here, and I'm sure he would love to elaborate if you would want to open the meeting.
Jim.
Marty, could you elaborate on what changes at St. Norbert would impact potentially this?
Well, I am not privy to everything that they have done, but I know they have gone through a significant change in, what's the word I'm looking for? Their majors. So they've cut quite a few majors. Quite a number of professors have been, and staff have been let go, and their population or their student attendance is much different than what it was. If you were to ask me what is the actual change, I don't know that.
I wondered, because I've thought about this too, hearing the same things you have, if what I had heard, or my understanding was that a lot of those houses that have been student housing are going to be returned back to
That's already happening.
neighborhood. And I think that just kind of makes the park that much more important than diverse if we're going to have more local people living in those homes.
Which is why we're bringing it to you
Okay.
to start discussing.
I have several questions anytime.
Well, keep going.
Okay. The survey was really interesting, and there were a few ideas I wanted to ask you if they're feasible to incorporate without making major changes. Like a couple people had mentioned a pollinator garden, and it seems to me that would be easy to incorporate into this if we're going to have a planting bed of some sort anyway.
I am not very educated on pollinator gardens. The little bit that I am is that they're very tough to establish and keep. And keep in mind, when you have a pollinator garden, a lot of times it will mean you have quite a few bees. Well, when you have bees, you have people that are allergic to them.
Okay.
So there's a trade-off. There is
Interesting.
definite value to a pollinator garden. I'm not questioning that whatsoever.
But maybe better on a larger park with remote edges and things like that.
Yeah, you're going to probably hear me hem and haw a lot, because I can't say it's not a good place for a pollinator garden. I think you'd really have to have our consultant look at it and look at, is it in a line of traffic that's, going to see a lot of traffic, or is it, just because the park's small doesn't mean it's going to have a lot of traffic in certain locations. So it's possible, but it depends on where it is and how big and et cetera.
But now that you mention it, in a small park like that, with the people with bee allergies, I could see that maybe isn't a great spot. Second one is one that Shayna had brought up in the past, was a small version of an urban dog park.
Yeah, I love the concept. The challenge that you would have with an urban dog park is that you need to think of parking. So when you have you can call it whatever you want, but if you have a dog park, you're going to have people want to come there.
Sure.
Which means they're going to probably be parking on the road quite a bit, and then that would create congestion. Not that they're not allowed to park on the road. So is it possible? Absolutely. You would have to think about the number of cars it would bring to the area, though, and is that conducive to that environment?
Well, just so we don't forget that particular idea, I guess I don't care what park it goes at, but it would be nice to have a recommendation from your office on where we could put one of those, rather than just forget it. It might be this spot, or it might be somewhere else, but that also seems like something that would provide an opportunity for the general neighborhood public and the students to interact.
I don't know. That's an element of dog parks that I don't know if I can speak to. I think there's quite a bit of socializing in the dog park, but I don't know if there's a whole lot of socialization of people with dogs and people around the area that don't have dogs.
It's just something I hope you can consider.
Yep.
I've seen many of these in different cities, and they're not really big. It's not like when you think of our dog park that we currently have. They can be 50 by 100 feet.
So Jim, when you say an urban dog park, are you referring a walkable? So when I say walkable, it's going to be small enough that's not going to draw people from outside the area. It would really be intended for people that are within walking distance of the park.
Actually, I've been in cities that have one in every park. It's just small enough that you can walk your dog there and let them off their leash.
Okay.
And play catch with them or whatever.
Okay.
And not like you're going to get 20 dogs at a time, but it's just it's a different kind of a dog park.
So to your point, could that happen here if the park board so chooses that a new conceptual design is warranted? That could certainly go here. If
I'm not sure space-wise, I'd look for recommendations on it. It might be just not the right place for it, but I think we could have them at a number of parks. And it would be a good thing. And I'm just going off what was in the survey that struck me. These fitness centers were mentioned a couple of times. Is that something we looked at? I can't remember. Where you have the little 3 or 4 different machines that.
I'm torn with those because you will see a lot of statistics say that they are supremely beneficial.
Okay.
However, in all of the parks that I've gone to that have them, I never see anybody use them. So I question the statistics. Not saying they're wrong. It's just that I've seen, obviously in my profession, I've been to a number of different parks, and I've seen the parks with these, these outdoor fitness stations, but I've never seen anybody use them.
They have them in Green Isle Park in Alloway, as you probably know, and I've used them there, and I've seen people when I've gone on walks stopping and using them, but it's not like there's 10 or 15 people waiting in line at the Y to get on these machines. So I really don't know how well they're used, but that's something I could see.
Yeah, they make urban physical fitness. I don't want to say it's like a jungle gym for adults, but they take the concept that you're talking about and they compact it really tight, and then they put it on like a cushion, port in place type of surfacing. So it's almost like a little outdoor, not YMCA, but I think you understand what I'm getting at.
It's all concrete at Alloway. I mean, I don't even know if it's a big slab. I think they just have the machine set in concrete, and they have 5 or 6 of them, like in a little circuit. But we don't have anything like that anywhere, right?
We do not. No. And again, going back to this, if that's what the park board thinks would be a better use, that's why we're talking about this right now. And
I'm not sure I feel like anything should be deviated from the other plan, but I thought there was some really interesting things brought up in the survey that we could look at in a general way. Like another one was never heard this term of a futsal park or futsal court. And I looked it up and read about it. I mean, we don't have one of those here, do we?
No. No, we do not.
It's essentially like a miniature soccer court, soccer field. You maybe didn't even look it up.
No, I haven't looked it up.
Well, I don't know. It was suggested by somebody on that list. And the other thing that I thought about was a lot of people mentioning pickleball. I'm assuming this is probably not the best spot for a pickleball court.
Me personally, I would highly recommend not putting
Okay.
a pickleball court there.
But I think it underscores the idea that we need to keep the pedal on the metal for more of those.
We gave it the old college try to get it through the budget last year. It just didn't quite make it.
Okay.
We'll try again this year.
All right. So last thing I'll say is I think some of these ideas should probably be just considered a little bit, but I don't know. I don't really have a strong opinion myself on whether we need to change this particular park plan.
Amy.
It's fun to look through the results of this survey, and when I think about some of the things that, as far as budgeting concerns and thought process for the space and the size of it and all those kinds of things, I think largely the community has told us what is an ideal use of it. Yes, there are call outs for things like basketball courts and more major investments, but things like picnic tables and more simplistic, passive community use still come up as the strongest when pulled individually. And then when you add that with things like gazebos and flowers and gardenings, those three come up top three as results, and then collectively, and then you look into the comments and you see things like lighting and pathways and better just overall maintenance of the space. And I think we would have a really strong result with those things. And those things have all been what we've been talking about that would make it, really much more vibrant as a community shared space and really open to all abilities, ages, all things. So I don't know. I think that this is really, really good feedback and provides us with some great insight without having to be like, oh my gosh, do we put another basketball court here? Well, it's just not the right size for that. So I think there's enough here that really kind of backs up some of the thinking that we had in the beginning with how to utilize the space properly.
Jim, I'm just curious, and this is, like, when you talk about an urban dog park, like, how many square feet are you talking?
I've seen them as small as 10 by 30 feet, where all it is it's a fenced-in area where you can just go and let your dog out and run around and chase balls. Some people in urban areas never get to let their dogs off a leash at all. And we don't want to encourage them to anyway at the park.
Yeah, we have enough of that right now.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a problem, but maybe if we did a few of these, people would get the idea of, hey, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be confined while I'm doing this. But I would say 50 by 100 feet is a kind of a popular size for these. But we wouldn't have the room for something like that at a park like this, I don't think, really.
Unless you really sit down and map it out, it's really tough to say.
I like the plan we have now, but like I said, I think it brought up a few things we should look at mainly for other places, mostly, but yeah.
Anyone else?
Is there a picture of like what the plan is? There's like you guys keep referring to this. I don't know if
Yes, and I'm sorry.
is it in there?
No, it's not.
Oh, I was gonna say
saw
I
it.
feel
You
like
put
I'm
it
out
up
of the
before,
loop
didn't
here.
I apologize.
There you go.
So
Oh no.
Wait, That's, is that one of
Why I didn't include it, I don't know, and
No, that's
my
okay.
apologies. So this is essentially a map of the, kind of an aerial of the current park,
Yeah.
right? This is the design, the proposed design from Grafe, and, you know, the call out. So there'd be a new park sign up here. Then, let's see here. This would be a crushed aggregate pathway that meanders through the park. So it kind of splits right here, makes an island. Then, let's see here, the resting, these would be these would be man-made berms. So that would be, so number 3. Number 4, this is I mentioned it kind of makes an island, so this would be a garden. So I don't know if that's truly defined as far as what type of garden that's in there, but some type of garden. There'd be a landscape bed. Where is that? Up around here, around this archway. Let's see here, 6 water. So we have a water fountain that's in there. We have hammock stands, which I remember they were talking that seemed to be all the craze and super cheap to put in. It's a couple of 4x4 posts that a student or anyone could come with their hammock and just chill, hook up to the post and take a nap, I guess. Haven't used them, if you can tell. 8, this right here, this is a memorial tree. This is one of the key things. If you go back in time, there was a student that I believe passed away, and this is a memorial tree for that student. We would not want to move that tree simply because the tree likely wouldn't survive the move, so that's why it's staying where it is. Number 9, we have the Lincoln Monument. If I remember correctly, that monument would be replaced to this location so that it provides a more visual experience. Yeah, focal point, thank you. And then last, the historical marker, which is right here. And that's the same thing. I believe that, if I'm not mistaken, and Joe can probably attest, I believe that historical marker is over here somewhere. So we would, again, put it in a place where it would be more visible. So that's the plan. Then here, this goes to show you a little bit about what some of those things are. Here's your hammock stand. These are some of the knolls that would be created for not only aesthetics, but for potential relaxation. There's lighting that's in there. That was one of the key things, is that it's lit up so that it's not an attractive nuisance for
Nighttime.
Yes, for nighttime. Saying a lot of ums, I apologize. So again, these are some of the things that are in there.
Okay, now I feel way more informed. Sorry.
Yeah, that would be a big missing piece.
Yeah, I was like, did I miss this meeting? And I don't think I
Technically, you did miss it because you weren't here yet.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so I actually really love this. And to all of Amy's points too, like the data, it supports so many of those different things. Now, where this park is in relation to downtown, you know, like there's people want playgrounds and whatever. I get that, but there's parks that are like more deeper into the neighborhoods outside of this, right? So I don't see this park being like there's subdivisions all around it and there's tons and tons of kids that are like wanting to get at this park. I see it more for the walkers that like, hey, we're gonna go downtown and we'll grab something to eat. We'll go through here or whatever, you know. And it's just probably a little bit of a different crowd, and then you get the college students, the parents that are visiting or whatever the heck. Am I off on that?
Possibly.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah?
the reason I say possibly
Okay.
is, so this particular park, it's not really close to any of our other parks, reasonably close to our other parks
Yeah.
for kids to walk to.
No.
So any kids that are within a walking distance of this park, there's not another park that they reasonably could walk to.
But there's also not huge neighborhoods in that area with St. Norbert. It's been primarily the college students out there.
Correct. So
Yeah.
and where I say possibly, this is where I was going with this, is right now if you look at our current data, I would say about in the immediate circle around the park, it's probably about 60% St. Norbert owned housing and 40% private. But if there is a switch to St. Norbert releasing those homes, now that's going to go to probably younger families, younger adult, whoever. That dynamic can change.
Yeah.
So I wish I had good data for you as to the homes and if they're going to be transitioning back or not. If they were, I think it's very easy, but I don't have that, that data, if you will.
Marty, correct me if I'm wrong, and looking at the drawing that you're projecting right now, there would be space there to put like a small playground that would be like similar to like what we have at like maybe Helly Danen or Willems.
Yes, you could. It would have to go in this area, which essentially would take up green space. So I'm a big advocate of open green space because, quite honestly, I think kids can use their imagination and play in an open green space far more than they can on a playground. Like, I would rather have a nice chunk of green space than a playground. They can do whatever, kick the can, all this kind of stuff they can play. But when you have trees in the way, you don't always get to do things like that or play a pickup. They play frisbee, play pickup wiffle ball, play pickup football. When trees in the way, you don't really have that luxury, or berms in the way, or hammock stands. You don't have, that luxury.
But
Not saying a playground's a bad idea.
No, but and we don't know what 5 or 10 years down the road could be, where maybe based on neighborhood changes, 5 or 10 years down the road, that becomes a part of our capital projects.
Yes, it could be.
Right. I've sat on this board for 10 years and I've watched a variety of projects kind of come and go based on changes to the community. So I think that's a potential future development. We've done a lot of that with Southwest Park, and then some things come to fruition and some don't, and because of changes. Other questions or discussion for Marty?
Right.
Joe, would you like to address us, or Jim, would you like to address us? Would both of you like to address us? Jim, you're nominating Joe?
Jim's going to think about correcting me. I have a few thoughts also that maybe you have not thought of yet.
All right, well, I will move to open the meeting.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We're open. Joe, I know you've said it before, but I believe that this is a new issue. Does he have to state his name and address for the record again? I believe so.
It's okay, I remember it. Hi, I'm Joe Nix, 227 Bell Avenue in the Wilson Park neighborhood. My friend Dan Larson, who's very thoughtful, reminded me recently that kind of this process that we've been going through over the last 4.5 years is really an example of placemaking. Placemaking is sort of a urban development and park development, philosophy where there's an increased focus on needs of the community, what they really want, and usually with a focus on more on art and culture, which is kind of what we've been talking about here. We've gone some distance in that already. I'm glad that Marty put in that survey because I had forgotten about it. And a couple of things stood out for me. One is that a lot of people made very thoughtful comments, a lot of different things. And the other thing that impressed me was that there were more than 200 people that responded to the survey. And to me, that was very strong evidence that although it's a pretty sad-looking park right now, there's a lot of interest in a renewal of that park. In terms of the placemaking, I don't know that this board has really consistently followed that philosophy, but you have done it in other places. So one of the big examples of that, I think, is Voyager Park on the east side, where there has been a lot of thought given to and a lot of development with respect to how that park can serve the broader community and the community in that area. There's a lot going on there, and a really good job has been done there. But I don't think the same kind of thought has gone into places on the west side, and Wilson Park really would be one of them. So my hope is that when you hire a consultant, you pick someone that is sort of philosophically in line with that, of trying to think of how the park can be best used. We've gone that distance already, but that kind of is a philosophy that I think would be helpful. One of the things that Marty mentioned about the change in the neighborhood, I'd like to follow up on. 4.5 years ago, when this first came up to this committee, that whole neighborhood was dominated by the college. And when this concept plan was put together, there was an understanding that, at least I think, that the college would continue to dominate that neighborhood. It is really remarkable, the change that has already taken place. I would say 2 years ago, 2004, you saw it already, that you simply didn't see as many college students in the area, a lot fewer parties. I don't know if all the college houses were occupied or not, but this year, the change has been very dramatic. My wife and I go by there every day, probably a few times. In the past, you'd see college students out and around all the time. Now you rarely see them. And I don't think that this trend is going to reverse itself. I think most colleges like St. Norbert are going to have to survive the smaller enrollment, and they're going to have to pull back. In a way, that's probably a negative thing for the city, but at least in that neighborhood, it can turn into a positive thing, because there's a great opportunity for that neighborhood to be revived. And the city really should be part of that. Whether it's in 5 years, I don't know, Randy, but I think you're making a plan here not for 5 years, you're making a plan for probably 25 years. And my guess is that in that time frame, there's a very good chance that this neighborhood is going to be restored and might be gentrified a little bit, and you're going to see something very different than it is now. And the start that you have, I think, is really the right thing. And I lean more these days to Amy's position that more seating, benches, picnic tables, maybe not hammock stands and resting knolls might be the place we end up if we're thinking about this as more of a neighborhood than we are of a combination neighborhood college situation. I had two specific things in my email, if I could talk to those a little bit. I feel like maybe I haven't done a good enough job in the past about explaining the significance of that Gettysburg Memorial. If that was in Chicago or New York or San Francisco or any of the parks in those areas, first of all, this wouldn't have happened to it. It wouldn't have been allowed to decline. But it would be something that would be valued, cherished, and very carefully preserved. It's probably not going to get done for $200. Okay, somebody's really got to recognize what it is and put some effort into it to make sure that it is properly preserved. And I'm hoping that the consultant you have will be savvy enough to recognize that. The other thing, kind of in line with the whole concept of placemaking, is that I don't see this park as something that you simply fix up and then you go on to work on other parks and ignore it. There's a great opportunity, given its location near the downtown, near several apartment buildings, including the 55 and over area, that more can be done with it. On a smaller scale, think of what you've done at Voyager Park. So we really should be thinking of what we can do to get people to come there and appreciate what a really pretty nice park this is going to be. One of the ideas I mentioned, in the email I sent, was a small performance area. Now, Green Bay has done a really nice job at Whitney Park for very little money, kind of having a summer series, more kind of cultural things. I mean, you've sort of got, beer and brats and, country music over at Voyager Park, but I think there's a place, in this area where you could have a small performance area. You could have small theater groups, string quartets, kids can give their recitals there. and people can bring their lawn chairs. I mean, there's been a proof of concept for this. I mean, Green Bay has been very successful at it, both at Whitney Park and St. James Park, and also the college. I mean, a weeknight, nice weather, people will come out for something simple. In looking at the plan that you've got here, if you walk out to the park, not now, it's pretty snowy, but kind of in the area up toward the Mova Center, I guess you say that would be the southeast side. There's a really nice flat area. And then it falls off from there. Kind of what is going to be graded anyway, because it's going to be the open area for frisbees and ball kicking and all of that stuff. And it would be, I think, a really good area for a small performance space. From a standpoint of design, I'm not talking about spending a lot of money putting up a big stage or a big bandstand. You just, I think, for now, need to flatten it out and not lose the opportunity to do that. I generally agree with the people who have said that you probably don't need a playground here, at least not now. But I think you might want to preserve the opportunity to do that in the future, depending what happens to the neighborhood in 10, 15, 20 years. I think the part facing College Avenue to the south would be a good area that when the plan is made, you don't do anything there to preclude opportunities in the future. And I have one final sort of feel-good thing to say. The young woman that Marty talked about that the memorial tree is named for was named Jessica Martin. She was a student at St. Norbert College. By all intents, a pretty remarkable young woman. She died of natural causes in 2004. She was originally from Chicago. This spring, Carl and I were driving down 4th Street, and as we were doing that, we saw two people, a couple, a man and a woman, on their hands and knees by the memorial tree, working on the landscaping. We stopped the car, Carla went out, and she went over and talked to them. It turns out that they are Jessica's parents, who still live in Chicago, and they said that every year in the spring, they come up and they take care of the landscaping by the tree. Really cool. We should probably be in contact with those people and let them know that we're respecting the memorial to their daughter. Thank you.
Thank you. Jim, did Joe miss anything? Do you need to make any corrections?
Jim Anderson, 915 Memory Lane. Just two thoughts. Number one, as far as the college selling the houses in the neighborhood, they didn't sell a whole lot of houses, people. Okay? That's not thinking in large numbers. Did a lot of kids come with the houses that got sold? I can tell you from living in the neighborhood, no, they did not. A lot of them became rentals. Not high-class rentals because they weren't sold as high-class houses because they weren't maintained very well for a long period of time. The other thing I think Joe mentioned that we should really be thinking about, we have 55 elderly people that live a block and a half from this park. What a beautiful place for people of that age to go and have lunch, a little exercise to get there, and a good time to visit with each other. And the other thing that we probably should mention, and I think Marty already nixed this one, is the crush path. I don't think Marty wants a crush path. I think we want a concrete sidewalk that's plowable so the facility can be used year-round. Lighting is super important. If you look closely at the plan, it's pretty fantastic lighting. It's down lighting. It's just not a big cluster of spotlights all over the park. It's made to look like a place to come and enjoy an evening walk. So thank you for working on this. It's been a long battle, but we're going to get there someday, okay?
Thank you, Jim. Is there anybody in the internet world who would like to address us on this issue? I move to close the meeting, go back to regular order.
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Marty, if I just want to make sure, I want to confirm with you that I'm reading my agenda correctly where it says discussion on improvements, so no action item on this one, correct?
Correct. There's no action that you need to do right now. But it's a topic that I wanted to get you prepared for because you will have a consultant come forward to you asking, is this the plan you want? And then if not, what changes would you like to see?
Jim?
I neglected to ask you, Marty, after looking the survey over, was there anything that struck you as something that should be considered for there, or do you still
No,
think the way it is?
From the survey, I think it's already been said, there's certain things that the community has said they'd like to see, but the long and short of it, some of those things they want to see are not a good fit for this particular location and park. But, the other thing the survey said is that they wanted it to steer towards a passive type park. Passive can take a lot of shapes and forms. We could redesign it look completely different and still be passive. So, that's probably left for interpretation, but to have some level of passive recreational gathering area is what we're looking for.
Okay. Thanks.
Marty, is now a good time to just kind of ask, I know we have some donors for some of these renovations. Are there any parameters that we need to stay within to be compliant with donations?
No, we just, at this point in time, we only have the one donor, which is the Nelson Foundation. So they're donating $100,000 towards the project, but there's no steep parameters that we need to follow. They approved it based on the plan that we showed. So if we were to go and put in pickleball courts and a outdoor swimming pool, we might have to go back to them. But I don't think you're talking about that.
Okay. Nope. Doesn't seem to be what says the survey. So, all right, moving on. Number 4 on the agenda, staff updates. Marty, staff update on the Holiday Light Show.
I'm not going to read it for you. We just put in the summary of the Holiday Light Show. Long story short, we're very proud of what the Holiday Light Show has become. It just, a lot of good came out of it, and a lot of people really appreciate it. So we hit a gold nugget, and we're very proud of it.
One piece of feedback that I've heard is with the school year coming to a close on like the 23rd of December, and a lot of families with the rush to prepare for Christmas, there's an ask that we manage to keep that light show open between Christmas and New Year's when more people are out and the kids are not in school, so they can stay up later. We are not wrapping gifts and baking ham and things.
Great question. You could refer people to the latest Marty's Minute because we did a recap, but I can give it to you now. Granted, it's not without possibility that we can do that, but over the years, the one thing that we have seen is that ice fishing starts very heavily after Christmas. Ice fishing and the Holiday Light Show do not go together very well. So unfortunately for us, for the Holiday Light Show, ice fishing occurred a lot sooner this year. Well, what happened is ice fishermen get out, they take their sleigh, and they walk right through our decorations, pull up cords, and they get covered, and then we have to figure it out. So we're not going to, we put up signs, we put up barricades, but we're not going to stop it. So we try to have both events work within a time frame that allows both of them to occur. So right now our intent is to kind of cap it at Christmas and then not go past that. But
Even if we see Santa's watching?
yes, Yeah.
That's crazy.
Santa likes ice fisher people too. But
So,
it certainly can be talked about, and we can certainly look at doing it. I know our staff would like to see it up longer, simply because it's
a lot
such
of
a good
effort.
thing, and
Yeah, it's
it would
huge.
bring more people. But we also don't want to, I think 3 days in a row I got called out there because stuff was out. And when we investigated, cords were ripped out of the ground and dragged down the hill and you name it, and then we have to put it back together again. So, and that's unfortunate if someone comes through the holiday light show and like a third of our Christmas trees aren't lit because all the cords are ripped out. That stinks. So we don't want to show that, and park goers don't want to see that either.
In
So,
spring there's sturgeon watch along the Wolf River. Maybe we need to have our own Christmas tree watch for a few days in De Pere.
maybe.
Jim,
Or could you put a temporary snow fence up around the whole?
Well,
thing that would
there's
keep people
lots of
from
things
trampling?
you can do. However, no matter what, there's still going to be conflict. So if I put up snow fence, it's a lot of work in order to do that, and our guys are already tapped out with what they're doing. But what happens is they'll inevitably park and they'll still walk across traffic to get there. So I actually, we had it this time. We had a ice fisher person come to their truck. We had a line, not joking, we had a line of probably 60 to 70 cars deep. The person that was ice fishing got in their truck. They drove up. They barged their way into the front of the line. They basically skipped 60 cars and went into the front of the line. Then they stopped in the road because they brought their ice fishing shack to the sidewalk. They stopped in the road, loaded up all their gear. Meanwhile, traffic is stopped. So there's no stopping that unless we have an officer on duty. I'm not going to have an 18-year-old park seasonal that's out there address someone, in that situation. So there's going to be conflict no matter what we do. It's a prime fishing location. It really is. And you're not going to stop people from going there. And I wouldn't want to stop people from going there, quite honestly. So we try to find a balance.
That might answer the one question I had. I have a question and one piece of feedback. Question being, when it was postponed because the weather was cold, it got me to wondering, why couldn't you, can't this whole thing be automated so somebody doesn't have to be?
So direct people to Marty's Minute.
I saw that.
That's
but I don't
another
remember.
question we got is why can't you just have a timer turn it on? So the real quick answer is our infrastructure is not like that. So we just don't have the ability to put timers on our parking lot lights. They're photo eyes. We don't have the ability to put Super Santa on a timer. It can go on a timer, but what people don't realize is there's vents that have to be released and open every time. That has to be done manual. And also, too, we have a lot of times we have decorations that our blow-up snowman has to have physical assistance to get up. We have to make sure that the light show to synchronize music is working, because sometimes it malfunctions and it has to be reset. So I have a list of probably about 8 different things that it takes a physical person to correct and or check to make sure that it's working.
That's also answers the question of weekdays. Because leading up to Christmas, I often thought about going over there on a Wednesday or whatever. And
yeah, we've been open Thursday through the weekend, but depending on where Santa comes to town, we adjust our dates. But what we want to do is to try to give more dates. We would typically start on a Thursday, go through the weekend, then we're off Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We're going to see if we can find the budget to try to stay open from, when we open on Thursday, we'd go all the way through until Christmas, and then we'd be done.
okay.
So it would give more opportunity for people to get there during the week. We average probably somewhere between 300 and 600 cars during the week. And then on weekends, we were, like our biggest day on Christmas Eve, we were over 1,000 cars.
Yeah, it's so much work. I just kept thinking as I was going through there, it's so much work. The more exposure we can give to it,
it's a great problem to have.
Yeah.
And we've been talking about how can we maximize it a little more.
Okay, my feedback is this. I followed the sign that pointed me toward the synchronized.
Mm-hmm.
So I went over there and I parked and I sat there with my family for probably 2 or 3 cycles of it. One car came in that whole time besides ours. And they got out. They were just using it to park and walk through I just think it needs to be signed better.
We talked, one of the first 3 things we talked about was that. It just was not, there's lots of reasons why. Reason number 1 is our staff person parked in front of the sign day 1. So that really worked well. But we've talked about it, and we've got ideas on how we can make that more attractive to go to, easier to go to. 'Cause what happens right now, I know this is getting long, but I apologize.
Okay.
But what happens is people are excited to get in line, and when they get in line, when they come out, there's a line of cars that they have to cross in order to get to the light show, and they're like, I ain't gonna do that. And then they just keep on going. So we have that. We have some thoughts on how we're gonna fix that. How's that?
Great. It was just cool to sit there, but
Yep.
then realize everybody else was just leaving and didn't even
Yep.
know it was
Yep.
there. So that's it.
All right. Anything else on the holiday light show? Olivia.
I was just had a question. Is there any way we could like direct the ice fishers a different way, just for like an extra week, or not? Just to extend the season a little bit?
Could we try? Yes.
Okay.
Would we be successful? Probably not.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's just what the way it is. We could always try, but I think there would be a lot of. Actually, no. If we tried, we're going to point them right into the direction of our idea to grow the light show. So no matter what, there's going to be a conflict. Either there's a conflict on the front side of our parking or on the back side of our parking. It's one or the other.
All right, staff update number 2, update on playground requests for proposals for Carney Park and Waterview Heights Subdivision Park.
Those are out. This will be a lot shorter. Those are out, and the proposal should be coming to you in February. Or not, yes, at our February meeting.
Number 5 on the agenda, future agenda items. Does anyone have future agenda items for Marty? Urban dog parks, Jim?
Yeah, I'd like you to look into that a little more.
I do, by the way, the last time you requested update on the East River Trail. So I just got an update from Kevin Corbett, so we'll have a little written update for that.
I'd asked for that?
I think I did.
Oh, did you? Okay, sorry.
Okay, I didn't remember that.
Jim, you and I are you and I ask Marty a lot of things.
Yeah.
All right. If there are no other future agenda items from Marty, a motion to adjourn is in order.
So moved.
All those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Who
Aye.
seconded? Did somebody second it?
I thought one of
Oh,
them.
I sure.
There you go.
Okay.
All those in favor, say aye.
Hi.
Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. We are adjourned.